Well, hello, Misheard Song Lyric listeners. We are in Season 2, Episode 62, and we're doing our first ever Backstreet Boys. And if you're new to us, welcome. Hopefully you'll enjoy the ride today. And if you haven't heard our other episodes leading up to today, please do. They're fun and, hopefully you'll learn something. So we're going to do our first ever Backstreet Boys Misheard Song Lyric. The misheard lyrics is... Tell me why ain't nothing but a fart. Hey, tell me why ain't nothing but a meat steak. And the correct lyrics is, tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why ain't nothing but a mistake. Unfortunately, not about farts or a meat steak. But farts are natural, people do it. And meat steaks, depending on what your definition of one, I do like me a good Philly steak. So let's talk about the song I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. A little bit about the song, the video, about them, and just other things that, I didn't know about. So let's begin. Again, not about farts or a meat steak, but I Want It That Way is a song by American boy band called the Backstreet Boys, actually released back, April 12th, 1999, so 21 years later. So if you were born that year, you can drink now. Yeah, whoop, whoop. As a lead single for their third studio album, Millennium. It was written by Max Martin and Andreas Carlson, with two S's. And the pop ballad talks about a relationship strained by matters of emotional or physical distance. Definitely something that a lot of us understands. Now, remember I mentioned songwriter Max Martin all the way back on episode 20. This is 62, so 42 episodes ago, with the misheard song lyric of Taylor Swift's Blank Space. He also helped write that. So he is a very prolific songwriter. And Backstreet Boys, often abbreviated as BSB, is actually an American vocal group formed back in 1993 in Orlando, Florida. The group consists of Nick Carter, Howie DeRoe, AJ McLean, and cousins, I didn't realize that, Brian Luttrell and Kevin Richardson. And they rose to fame with their debut international album called Backstreet Boys back in 1996. And the next year, they released a second international album called Backstreet's Back in 1997, along with their self-titled U.S. debut album, which continued the group's success worldwide. They rose to superstardom with their third studio album, Millennium, came out in 1999, prior to 2000, and its follow-up album, Black and Blue, 2000. And then after 2 years of a hiatus, they regrouped and released a comeback album called Never Gone in 2005, after the conclusion of the Never Gone tour in 2006. So, been around for a while, and particularly with this song called I Want It That Way, it was met with some positive reception, and many critics liked its catchiness. It's also calling it a pretty good pop ballad of the year. I agree. And the song was actually nominated for 3 Grammy Awards, including Song and Record of the Year, and has been included by many lists with Rolling Stones, Blender, and MTV. And many have said that this song, I Want It That Way, is the Backstreet Boys' signature song. And commercially, it reached #1 spot in more than 25 countries. That's amazing. And US, of course, where the song peaked at #6 in the Billboard Hot 100 chart for 8 non-consecutive weeks, while it topped the adult and top 40 mainstream charts. And the song was also parodied by a lot of artists, including boy bands such as One Direction, and its music video was also parodied. Apparently, it was parodied by Blink-182 when they did their music video, All the Small Things. So check out that video to see the comparisons there. All right, so let's talk about background. After the success of their first albums, Backstreet Boys in 1996 and Backstreet's Back in 1997, the band recorded their third studio album during 1998 and 1999, which is the Millennium. And the funny thing is, when the members of the Backstreet Boys came to Stockholm back in November of 1998 for a 2-week recording engagement, they were eventually presented the demo, I Want It That Way, this song, which at the time only consisted of the main chorus, so it wasn't finished like you and I know it today. And then upon leaving Sweden, because that's where, again, songwriter Max Martin and Andreas Carlson are located, they're Swedish songwriters. So when they left Sweden on November 16th, for November 17th Oprah taping. It actually aired on December 3rd. Vocals for the song had been completed in 2 days, which is pretty fast. And originally the Larger Than Life song, which is another great song of the Backstreet Boys, was supposed to be the lead single, following the similar formula that they had with the 2 albums, having a more upbeat lead single. But after hearing this final version of I Want It That Way, the group really wanted to move in a more mature direction and using what they call a mid-tempo track as a lead singer. So that's why this song became the lead single. And then Zomba recording executives had to be convinced to approve the song as the first single due to them citing that the group could maybe alienate fans with this mid-tempo song that had some kind of vague lyrical meaning. We'll go into that in a second. But in the end, press information in the form of snippets were authorized for release to radio stations back in March of 1999, and that preceded the song's actual release to radio in April of 1999, which it did well. So let's talk about censorship. Didn't even know this was part of the song. So there was actually a censorship by China. So on August 19, 2011, so just 9 years ago, China's Ministry of Culture released a list of 100 songs, including the then 12-year-old I Want It That Way, so a little bit late to the party, that were required to be removed from the internet. This purge came about because this ministry with China claimed that these songs had been released without first being subjected to a mandatory screening process conducted by them, the ministry officials, as per official government. And media sites were given until September 15th to delete the named songs, wow, that's harsh, or face unspecified penalties. And the Chinese government claims that such measures are necessary for national security purpose. So obviously the song can cause a national security breach, I guess, in China. Who knew? And let's talk a little bit more about the writing inspiration of what were they really talking about. So I Want It That Way was written by Andreas Carlsson, I mentioned earlier, and Max Martin, both Swedish songwriters, and as well as a person by the name of Christian Lundin, who produced the track. And the mid-tempo ballad finds all the guys in Backstreet Boys showing different expressions of romantic affection. I love that. And they say the acoustic guitar arpeggio riff, which forms the song's intro and reiterates throughout the verses, was written at the very end of the recording session, First Did You Know, and was, according to Carlson, inspired by Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. I would have never put the Metallica song inspiring the song, but that's what happened. They say via the internet that an alternative version of the song with different lyrics was written and recorded by the band in January of 1999. It says that the version was included in some early demo presses of the album. In this alternative version, the song has the opposite message. I love it when I hear you say, I want it that way. This alternative lyrics were written by Martin Carlson in collaboration with Mutt Lange. So remember Mutt Lange? I talked about him with the Shania Twain Misheard several episodes back. It's her now ex-husband. So they changed it to, I guess, I love it when I hear you say, I want it that way. This alternative version was leaked on the internet via Napster. Remember Napster? And other methods in the early 2000s, and was also played infrequently on the same radio stations. And according to the then members of the Boys' backing band, Tommy Smith, the album version is the original version. The alternate version was recorded because the chorus of the album version did not make sense. That's interesting. And in an interview with a publication online called Hit Quarters, Swedish songwriter Andreas Carlsson confessed that the song was a play with words. According to Andreas, quote unquote, when Max came up with the original idea for the song, it already had a line, you are my fire, the one desire. You are my fire, the one desire. He said, we tried a million different variations on the second verse, and finally we had to go back to what was sounding so great. You are my fire, the one desire. And then we changed it to, I am your fire, your one desire, which made absolutely no sense in combination with the chorus, but everyone liked it. The rest is history. And a little bit more about how the song has fared so far. It became one of the Backstreet Boys, I said, signature songs earlier, and one of the most praised songs. Apparently, Rolling Stones listed Backstreet Boys at #1 on the Reader's Poll, the best boy bands of all time, writing that the five-piece scored several huge hits, but their 1999 smash, I Want It That Way, is a gender-transcending classic. Okay, Rolling Stones. And then while listening the top biggest boy bands from 1987, while listing the top biggest boy bands from 1987 and 2012, Billboard placed the band #2. That's pretty high. Writing that, quote unquote, they tallied up 6 hot top 100, top 10 hits, including well-loved tunes like I Want It That Way and Quit Playing Games with My Heart. Oh, that's a good one. I Want It That Way was also placed at #2 on Complex list of the 30 best boy band songs. And then the song was ranked 10 on MTV Rolling Stone list of the 100 greatest pop songs of all time in 2000. VH1 listed the song at #3 on the, again, top 100 greatest songs in the 90s, and #61 on 100 greatest songs of the past 25 years in June of 2003. Blender also ranked at #16 on their 500 greatest songs since you were born list, and in 2017, shortlisted David Faubert listed the song as containing one of the greatest key changes in music history. Good point. So what awards did they win? I mentioned earlier that they were nominated for many awards. I Want It That Way was also nominated for 3 Grammy Awards at the 42nd Grammy Awards. It was nominated for Best Pop Performance by a Duo Group with Vocals. Unfortunately, that was a big year also, losing to Maria Maria by Santana. It was Santana's year, featuring the product G&B. Record of the Year and Song of the Year both losing to Smooth, also by Santana, featuring Rob Thomas of Matchbox 21, I believe. Matchbox 20, can't remember. So unfortunately, that was the year that Santana it was a big year for him. As well as commercial success in the U.S., I Want It That Way was one of Backstreet Boys' most successful singles. I definitely would agree with that. It opened at #72 on the Billboard Hot 100 the week of April 24th, 1999, and after 9 weeks, it reached and peaked at #6, like I said earlier, staying there for 8, they said, non-consecutive weeks, and also breaking the record for most radio station ads in its first week with 165. It didn't chart higher because the track was not released as a commercially available single during the height of its popularity. That's interesting. So the song was not able to go any higher than the #6 on the Billboard Hot 100, which then combined only airplay and sales data to determine the week's most popular songs in the US. Remember, that was before downloads. It also reached the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot Adult Contemporary Track charts, where it stayed there for 10 non-consecutive weeks. And then on the Billboard Mainstream Top 40 chart, the single debuted at the number 30 the week of April 24th. That's a great debut, April 24th, 1999, and reached the top of the chart after just 12 weeks. It set a record for most weeks at #1. In addition to all the success I mentioned, the music video also did well. If you haven't looked at it, check it out. It's on YouTube. It was directed by Wayne Isham, filmed at the Los Angeles International Airport, or famously known as LAX, on April 1 to 2nd, 1999, so April Fool's Day, and debuted on MTV's TRL on May 5th, 1999. The Tom Bradley International Terminal is seen in numerous shots, you can see it, and also appears as the band sings and dances to the chorus. In the final chorus, as the band prepares to board the plane, a Boeing 727 for those of you airplane enthusiasts, they're greeted by a crowd of screaming fans bearing signs and flowers. The scene involving the plane and the final scenes which featured the fans were filmed in one of the hangars of LAX. The funny thing is, when you watch that video, nowadays, if that was ever made now, you would have all those people holding their cell phones taking video. But back then, wasn't so big, so it really was just signs and screaming ladies and teenagers. Additionally, a Delta Airlines L1001 appears when Howie Day sings the 4th verse. Again, don't know what that means, but I wanted to share that with some of you airplane enthusiasts. And the video features some special effects that were big then, where they transition between shots. Notably, a high-speed zoom effect, which makes it appear that the foreground subject has not changed to a new shot while the background has. It fades in and out, so it's pretty new back then, and shifting between different film speeds during shots. Another special effects sequence using green screen, and some of you know I love my green screen, is when the band is all dressed in white, and I guess because they were styled by Rachel Zoe, would perform a dance sequence while being manipulated over the backdrop of the Tom Brady terminal lobby. So they really weren't there, but it was just green screen and mostly cut from the video because I think at the time they felt that the dance sequence did not fit the song, though the elements of the dance sequence is put in certain places of the video. So you will see it, but it's not the extent of it. The song's music video was parodied again, like I said earlier, by Blink-182 in their music video for the song All the Small Things. And then the video ranked at number 3 on the top 10 list for the most iconic videos of all time at the TRL finale. Last but not least, did you know 2 or 3 now? The video archived over 838 million views on YouTube as of yesterday, which is when I looked it up, Halloween, October 31st, 2020. It's just only going to go up since it was uploaded, they say, about 11 years ago. That's pretty big, 838 roughly million views. So lots to know. It's not about a fart, not about a meat steak. It's one of the signature songs of Backstreet Boys. And there's a lot of other, background as well as, who founded them and what have you. But just thought it was interesting. And it's a song that still sounds great today in 2020. So hopefully you learned something. If you haven't, sorry. If you have, great. And please, please keep singing those songs wrong. Bye.